Hey, what's up, everybody? It's good to be back, and let's get down to the NHL rumors, folks. The NHL draft is this week. I want to say congratulations to the Los Angeles Kings. Finally have won a cup for the first time in their 45-year history. Folks, that's amazing. It's been 19 years since they got to the Stanley Cup final, the Los Angeles Kings, and it's their first in their history. Grexy couldn't get it done. Robitaille couldn't get it done. But hey, they finally got it done. And that's an amazing feeling. So, I'm back once again, everyone. NHL Trade Rumors is here for the date of... What we got here? Well, whatever. For June 18th, 2012. Mark Spencer's here after watching two thrilling football games, soccer games from Euro 2012. Both Italy and Spain have made it to the next round, and it looks like Croatia and Ireland are out. It was too bad. It looked like it was a... I don't know about that goal that the Spain player scored, Jesus Navas, but it's up in the air. You know, all the conspiracy people are going to say, I don't know about that goal, you know, that's why they need instant replay. I've always said in football they really do need instant replay. And they got to bring that technology in. I think they're going to bring it in soon, probably next World Cup. They might have to. Said Blatter, I mean, he's facing the pressure more than ever before, over the corruption situation and all that. So we'll see what happens there. Let's get down to the rumors, folks. I mean, that's why you all watch NHL Trade Rumors. Over the last 3 years, I mean, it's become a pretty popular thing on YouTube. So, let's get down to what I'm hearing. So, looks like, according to the Hockey Buzz, Radulov, well, this is what it says here. According to various reports, Radulov has decided to return to the KHL. Raz is actually using the excuse that he's afraid of labor stoppage in the NHL. I think there will be a labor stoppage, probably last 3 months, if anything, 3 months, or more for the season. I don't know how they're going to do it, but hopefully there's no labor stoppage. They signed a 1-year extension to the original CBA they have, but we'll see what happens there, folks. But we'll see. Note. Not quite sure there's because of were a labor stoppage, Raj could always return to the KHL anyway. This is pretty shocking because knowing Manny close to Radulov, he didn't sound like he wanted to return to the KHL ever again, especially following the plane crash disaster of a year ago, which frankly scared more than a few KHLers. Radulov is more likely putting in fear of no team coming to him with a strong offer. So basically, Radulov is a restricted free agent. There is some talk that he might go back to the KHL next season, but I have a feeling, from what I've heard from a few other sources, I think Radulov, he might go back to the KHL, or his rights might be traded from Nashville or the team in the KHL, basically from Nashville to, I don't know, the Red Wings I hear are interested. Who else is there? There's a few other teams. The Rangers are definitely in on them. Philadelphia will move them out. So we'll see what happens. Come July 1st, 2nd. I mean, you look at people like Prise, Jordan Staal, Rick Nash. We'll see what happens. I got some news on Jagr. It looks like, according to Darren Dreger from TSN, Darren Dreger is reporting today that Jagr loved his time in Philly, but will test the market. This is what I was repeatedly warning against when reports surfaced he was close to signing a deal. It is very true. Several Flyers players, including Jagr, lobbied really hard in their exit meetings. that the Flyers should bring back Jagr. Yet, at the end of the day, Jagr's skills over the year, beyond his ability to teach the ways of being a superstar to the young Flyers, and diminished. Still not impossible that he signs with Philly. So we'll see what happens. That's what Axe says. You know, my personal feeling, I think Jagr should resign with Philadelphia. I mean, they gave him a chance to come back, become a first-line player. I mean, he did teach some of these young players like Claude Giroux, Scott Hartnell, they become better players. They all looked up to him. They got really far in the playoffs this year. They got past Pittsburgh, but they did falter against the New York Rangers. But, that's what happens. Sometimes you run into a buzzsaw, and that's what happened. They ran into a buzzsaw. I mean, they played a tough series against Pittsburgh, and that's what happens. Sometimes you're going to win some, and sometimes you're going to lose some. So in the end, it comes down to goaltending. Guys working their butts off to make things happen. And, we see it in Jagr's game. It's diminished. I mean, the guy's, I think he's close to 40 years old. So he could be 40 years old. So, I mean, Jagr is still one of the game's greatest players. And nothing else can actually be said from the truth. He's one of the best I've ever seen play. I was watching a classic game on YouTube the other day. Some highlights of Jagr and some of the goals he scored. I mean, Jags is one of the best ever. One of my favorites to watch. I mean, him and Mario Lemieux just created magic. There's a reason they call him Mario Jr. And I think whatever team he goes to, I hope he goes back to Philly. But don't be surprised if he goes back to the Pittsburgh Penguins, where it all began in 1990. Let's get down to some more speculation on Barry Jackman. As expected, Jackman won't test the market. He has recently re-signed with the Blues. Langenbrunner could be next. So it looks like Barry Jackman has re-signed with the St. Louis Blues. It looks like it could be a 2-year deal or a 1-year deal. I'm not too sure. I have to take out some details on that signing. We'll see. Barry Jackman played very good in the playoffs. He played very good in the regular season. He's a big reason why the St. Louis Blues made the amazing push this year. Almost won the President's Trophy. Overtaken by Vancouver. But, man, St. Louis, no one in their right mind would have seen St. Louis do what they did after they fired Payne, the former head coach, and replaced him with Ken Hitchcock. Ken Hitchcock just got these guys to play defense. And that's what happens. When you play defense, you win championships. It's starting to come back. Just look at the Los Angeles Kings. It was all about defense, not so much goal scoring. Defense, defense, defense. And it looks to me like the NHL is going back to a defensive type of game. We got some bad news for Vancouver fans. It looks like Samuel Paulson might be heading back to Sweden to play hockey. So it's not official, but it looks like Samuel Paulson's going to be playing in Sweden next year. So he won't be playing in NHL next year. So Vancouver's going to have to go find someone to replace Samuel Paulson's minutes and play. So I don't know, man. I wish Paulson would come back, because Paulson actually did pretty good in the playoffs. He didn't score any big goals, but he did play decent. He could have played a little bit better for Vancouver. That's what happens, Sometimes it all doesn't come together, and for Vancouver, they just need to get a little more defensive. I think they're a great team to watch. They're a fun team to watch. They have a lot of great, exciting players to watch on this team. And I think you look at the draft, from what I've been hearing on Roberto Luongo, there's no doubt that Luongo is getting traded. It's not going to be Tampa Bay. It looks like this past week they acquired Anders Lindback from Nashville for, I think it's a 6th-round pick, and Matthew Garon. Matthew Garon. So we'll see what happens. But it looks like the Leafs are definitely in on Luongo. I don't know who's going to come back for Luongo, but it's going to be a pretty good package of maybe a pick and like maybe 2 two players, maybe a defenseman or a forward off the roster, or maybe in the minors if they have. But it's not going to be something amazing, but the Vancouver Canucks are going to get something good for the loungo. I hope they get Luke Shen, but it looks like Luke Shen might be going to the Oilers, but we'll see what happens there. But I still think he's coming to Vancouver, and we'll see what happens. So here's some more rumors. Pierre Parento of the Islanders. Montreal are looking at maybe trying to pry him from the Islanders. Don't forget he's an unrestricted free agent. The Jets have some interest in signing Parento, but don't be surprised if the Islanders re-sign Pierre Parento before the free agency begins. So I think next week he'll be re-signing with the Islanders. On Ryan Smith, there's talk that Ryan Smith might be leaving the Oil and going to the Blackhawks. So it looks like the Oilers are not going to give him a good role on the team, like a more veteran leadership role like he had this past season with the Oilers. They're looking at, so we'll see what happens. And if Blackhawks brought him in, it'll be something like Jagr, just to show some leadership, help the young guys out. But I think Ryan Smith can help any team. Vancouver, man, they could use a Ryan Smith. Calgary Flames could use a Ryan Smith. I mean, this guy is an amazing player. Let me tell you. Watching Ryan play over the years in Edmonton with Doug Waite and Bill Guerin, and when he went to Colorado and played with Joe Sakic, and in LA, he did pretty good. Ryan Smith's one of those type of players that plays with heart and soul. The guy's an Oiler for life. There's no doubt. But hey, if he goes to Chicago, he's going to be a very important addition. Chicago was missing that type of player that was physical, get in front of the net, tip pucks in. They didn't have that type of player since Dustin Byfuglien went to Atlanta. Now they're the Winnipeg Jets. But when they let Byfuglien go, it just changed the momentum and the feeling of that team in terms of a big physical player to get in front of the net, tip pucks in from Duncan Keith, Brett Seabrook, even Patrick Kane, on the power play. So, that's the type of player they need. And there is some talk that they might trade Patrick Kane, but I can tell you right now, that's not going to happen. I know their general manager and his father, the Bowmans, they're not going to trade one of their cornerstone of their franchise. I just can't see that ever happening. Hey, if it happens, I won't be surprised. But I'll be totally surprised if it ever did happen. I just don't see that happening. On Jared Stoll, he had an amazing Stanley Cup. He had an amazing playoffs. He was one of the better third-line players in the game nowadays. There's still some talk of the Sabres, Predators, and even the Wild maybe trying to lure Jared Stoll. So if Jared Stoll gets traded out of the draft, I wouldn't be surprised. Because I think LA might take a run at Zach Parise, but what I heard yesterday, it looks like Zach Parise is leading towards re-signing with the New Jersey Devils. So I wouldn't be surprised if Zach gets a 5-year deal or 8-year deal worth $65 million to re-sign with the New Jersey Devils. So don't be surprised to see that happen before free agency begins. So you can take Parise off the free agency with their wish list. And the biggest name that's out there is Rick Nash. The talk of him getting traded is heating up. San Jose is definitely in on Rick Nash. Toronto Maple Leafs are really in. Boston's in on him. The team that is a wild card in all of this. I hear Vancouver. I hear the New York Rangers. You never know. Watch out for Detroit. You never know. That's a team that could go get Rick Nash. They have the type of young talent that Columbus Blue Jackets really covet. But they're a rival of them. But I'd watch for them. You never know. They might get involved. But Toronto, for sure, and San Jose. I think those are the two favorite teams. And don't watch out for the Los Angeles Kings. They could come in out of nowhere at the draft and throw out a player that neither the Toronto Maple Leafs or the San Jose Sharks are willing to throw in. The names I'm hearing right now are Joe Pavelski from San Jose, and maybe Mark Edward Vlasic, or I think Murray might be going in a trade. Or with the Leafs, you hear Luke Shen, you hear Nazem Kadri, you even hear some other picks, McCarthy, Phil Kessel. I've heard his name come up, but I doubt Leafs would trade him. But I've heard his name come up. I've even heard Joffrey Lupul's name come up in some trade rumors. But I doubt any of those names will even go anywhere. So let's just be positive and enjoy the NHL draft coming up this Friday, and it should be good. I think now Opakov, the number one pick, is going to be good for whatever team he goes to. I hear rumors that Oilers are probably going to trade their pick, but I highly doubt they'll trade their pick, but you never know. They probably will. I won't be surprised if they do. And if they do trade that pick, what team will he go to? Maybe Philadelphia. So, if Philadelphia gets the number one pick overall, I think they'll get Opakov. Because Opakov is a very good player. And Grigorenko is a good player. Malcolm Subban is the young brother of PK Subban's in this draft. He's a good player. And there's some other great young players coming in this draft. You got to take a look at tsn.ca and even Sportsnet, Rogers Sportsnet, or actually Sportsnet.ca too. The Score, HockeyNews.com, NHL.com. And so just check out those sites, and you'll get a little bit more in-depth look at the draft, the players that are going to be in this draft. I think we're going to see some moving and shaking in free agency. Players' rights getting traded before free agency frenzy starts July 1st. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch as a hockey fan. The Stanley Cup was great. The NHL is getting better. I just hope we have no lockout. The good news is I think they are talking. The players and the owners are talking behind the scenes. We just have to see what happens this summer. Hopefully we get a deal done by September, and we don't have to worry about any more lockouts. They can get a deal done, and we'll just leave it at that. So, thanks for watching, folks. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.